Listen, I got to say, there was an aha that Jared just gave us. I want to make sure everybody caught. And it was at the very beginning, and Jared said, not I think, I know my numbers. And that's the aha, is when you're running a business to any extent. You could be 24 sides a year like Jared and Amber were in their first year, or where their business is at right now. If you don't know your business, you're not acting like a professional. All right, welcome to another episode of the Contacts to Contracts podcast. I am Bryan Lovell here with my amazing co-host, Mr. John Jones, and we have a special guest lined up for the next series in our Top Producer Real Estate Agent series. Welcome to the show, Mr. Jared Rutherford.
Yes, thank you, Bryan. Excited to be here and speak with you today.
Cool, dude. So just a background, we've known each other for a little while. We've done a little bit of work together, meaning like we've gone to boot camp and stuff like that. You look like you've lost a lot of weight.
Yeah, that's something. That's a work in progress. Thanks for
noticing,
listen,
Bryan.
I'm just teasing you. I'm trying to add in a little bit of accountability to help you out because we're friends. So listen, Jared, thanks for joining us. We've been doing this series for the last couple of weeks on just interviewing some top producers, and we'd love to hear a little bit about your story, how you started in the business, and what kind of business you and your wife Amber are doing now, and what the Rutherford Realty Group looks like overall. So, man, if you could kick us off, can you just give us a little background? Like, I know, like, you know, at one time Amber was a teacher. You've been a firefighter for a long time, and somehow also managed to grow this massive business. Can you walk us through it a little bit?
Absolutely. So, like Bryan said, my name is Jared Rutherford with Tampa, Florida, the Rutherford Group out of Keller Williams Tampa properties. And so it was December of 2013 when I was at the fire department. My wife, Amber, she was an administrator at a local elementary school. And we were just having a conversation, and I'm like, you know, Amber, there's something missing. There's passion. There's something else in addition to my current career that I'm seeking. Mm-hmm. And so she's like, why don't you go back to real estate? And I got licensed in, I believe 2006. And I always did it just part-time, friends, family, just really, really part-time, maybe a couple transactions a year. And so anyway, long story short, I went around and interviewed all the brokerages in the area. and I found Keller Williams Realty, which it aligned with our values and our, the faith, family, and business in that order. Yep. And so it really spoke to us. And I encouraged Amber. I said, well, if I'm going to do this, you know, why don't you do it with me? I said, we could make a great team. Little did we know how much work it was going to take. So fast forward. So that was December 2013. We signed on with Keller Williams Realty, and we did it again. We had other careers. So that first year we did 24 transactions. And we served 24 families, and we were strictly part-time.
Okay, so you were 24 families. You were strictly part-time at that. I mean, listen, 2 deals a month, even for a full-timer, is pretty good, right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. And before I even go there, we have 4 kids, 12 and under. So we had a few things going at the time.
A little busy.
Yes. So my natural being is very entrepreneurial, very, and where my wife is she was more conservative, more like, I want to see the numbers, analytical. So it was interesting going into business together.
So one of you runs and the other one pulls the brakes a little bit. Is that how it works?
Initially,
maybe
yes.
pumps the brakes.
Yes.
No, okay.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That's good. That's a good way to.
That's a good balance, though.
That is a pretty good balance
for a business. That's a decent balance.
Yeah, for sure. So, Bryan, so in addition to that, in that first year, we were learning all the systems and models, really building our foundation. And it was a lot of learning because we're really new to building a business. I had some real estate experience, and yet it was learning how to run and build a business.
Yeah.
So that was our background. So I worked for the fire department I currently work there, and I've been there 20 years.
Wow. And
Amber was an educator, an administrator, and prior to her getting into real estate.
Awesome. Cool. So to kind of paint the whole picture, you guys started off, you said 2013, both kind of doing it part-time. And what does the team make up right now? Like how many people you got on the team?
Right. Yeah. So fast forward to today. So far this year, first quarter, we have 54 closed and pending.
Wow.
And 23 million in volume. Our team consists of 3 administrative and 5 agents, full-time agents. And that's where we're at today. So
wow. Yeah. That's awesome, dude. That is crazy volume. So you guys are on pace. I mean, legit, you could do 100 million this year.
We really could. Yeah. I mean,
he's like, if we could find the inventory, right? If it's out there.
That's the only thing slowing them down.
Yes. Inventory definitely can be challenging. And yet, I mean, when you say that out loud, Bryan and John, it's just like, wow.
Yeah. I mean, when you think about where you're at there, Jared, right now in your business, 100 million isn't out of reach. That's awesome, man.
That's amazing. And you're still working as a firefighter.
I am.
I'm still
at the fire department.
And my guess is Amber is now full-time real estate only.
Correct.
Okay.
She Amber more so runs our title company.
Okay.
So Jared, you oversee the real estate business. Amber's running the title company. You guys own these businesses together. Plus, you play zone coverage as parents.
On the kids.
Oh,
Just
out of curiosity, what kind of defense did Michigan play last night against UCLA?
You're gross today. It's like how much weight have you lost?
I'm just teasing you. We'll cut that part out.
The weight loss is a good thing. It could be worse going the other way.
I'm just having some fun with you. So, here we are, fast forward 2021 from 2013. You guys have built an incredible business, but I know that it wasn't easy. Could you walk us through a little bit about, first of all, when did it start clicking? But I think that there's always a great story in the struggle, because I know it wasn't easy. And, you've heard, you've been taught, and I've been taught the same thing. Like, we don't learn anything in success. We only learn in failure. So you had to go through some of those growing pains to get to where you're at. What would you say is like the big takeaway lesson that you could share with those who are listening? Yeah.
So early on, we took a class called BOLD, and I don't know, some of you guys may have heard of it. It's a coaching and conditioning program through Keller Williams Realty, business objective life by design. And so early on with our career at Keller Williams, we took that class. And one of the things they teach in there is that 90% is mindset. And so when I started realizing that, and it's really working on yourself more so than my coach says, Jared, you're treating all the symptoms. You're treating all the, what's the root? It was starting with me. So when it started clicking, I started working on myself, meaning affirmations, meditation, exercise, some things that, and I know we joke about it, yet when we start our mornings off right and doing those things, I think a lot of things fall into place. Yeah. And so when specifically you said, when did it start clicking? Yeah. And so we would do the activities and we would do the lead generation and have different strategies around that. And yet when I changed my mindset from like not necessarily we're bothering people or we're being pushy. Yet when I changed it to, if we're not serving them, if our team's not serving them, then they're not getting the best team available.
I love that.
So
I love that.
When I change that mindset, when I go on a listing appointment, I 100% agree that I am the best agent to serve that family, or our team's the best team to serve them.
I love that.
So until that clicked, that confidence, you're right, it did lack a little bit. It did, I had those, and that's why I'm constantly working on myself with coaching and affirmations. And I mean, since 90% is mindset, it's a constant. It's not like, okay, I checked the box and I'm done with it now. And I don't need to do that anymore.
So for you, Jared, if I take away, what I'm hearing you say is it wasn't necessarily about, hey, I just all of a sudden started doing this activity or this series of activities. For you, where it really started to click was, hey, listen, I'm the best option available for buyers and sellers out there, and we're doing them a disservice if we're not taking the opportunity to serve them.
100%. So your friends and families, like, initially I was always looking for the magic pill or the magic bullet, and like, hey, what's going to get me there quicker, faster, until I realized that that doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. Like, it takes hard work. It takes, being efficient and following a schedule and doing the things that are uncomfortable sometimes. Mm-hmm. And so when I started doing that, some people are hesitant of talking with their friends and family, and they're like, oh, we don't want to bother them, or they're the ones that actually want to help you. Mm-hmm. So it's a huge opportunity. And so a lot of our sphere, we are like, if we're not serving them, not only they're not getting the best, we're letting, and I'm sure it's similar in the mortgage industry. If you're not serving them, you don't know who they're getting. There's a lot of mortgage lenders, a lot of mortgage brokers. Yeah. Same with realtors. I heard something the other day. There's more realtors than there are
listings out there.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, and I do feel the same way. I feel the same way about our company from the consumer perspective, as well as the loan originators and branch managers that are in business with us. I believe we're the best thing out there, and if you're not working with us, you're getting less. In fact, I would tell you, I think that if you're a real estate agent out there and you're not working with us, you're closing less homes than you could be. But by not working with us. So I 100% agree with your mindset on there. And I think that's a big deal, because I think that is one of the things that gets in the way, John, of a lot of agents, is that fear of, I don't want to tell these people what I do, or I don't want to ask these people for business, or most of that fear is probably rejection.
I mean, we have to constantly remind our family and friends what we do. I mean, like I always say in the mortgage business, we go to the soccer field on Saturday, and we don't want to come across as being pushy. Yeah. But when rates are low, I'm doing a disservice if I don't just, hey, Bryan, by the way,
that's a great opportunity.
Rates have really dropped. Drop me a call and let's see if we can save you some money. You have to serve everybody that you see, and don't take the assumption that they know what you do, because they forget. Yeah. I mean, there are plenty of times, and Jared, probably early on, you've got a friend or somebody that you see from time to time, and they say, hey, guess what? They now realize the connection. Yeah. You sell real estate. Hey, guess what? I just listed my house. If you have a buyer, like and you're like, you missed the opportunity because you weren't being aggressive or pushy.
Yeah.
I have many stories, John.
It drives you crazy in real estate and the mortgage business. I'm like, it's nuts.
Yeah, it's crazy.
No, absolutely. And you got to stay top of mind. And you're not, you got to get rid of that thinking, I'm bothering people. And it's not always asking for business. Yeah, you're coming from contribution. You're caring about them and the relationship, and the business is going to be a byproduct.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So, Jared, I want to learn a little bit about where your business is coming from right now. But before that, you kind of segued, or you gave us an opportunity to segue into something in regards to coaching, because you mentioned that you have a business coach. Can you tell us a little bit about why you think that's important and what you've gotten out of that relationship?
Absolutely. So, I mean, I look at it this way. I'm like, you look at a professional athlete. I mean, Bryan, you're a big Bucks fan, right?
Of course.
I mean, and I know you're a big Tom Brady and Michigan fan too, right?
I am now. I hated him a year ago, but I am now. Now, this guy is from
My
Boston,
youngest son's named Brady.
and he named his kid after Tom Brady.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes.
So, I mean, how many coaches does a professional athlete have? I mean, many. So I look at it that way. I'm like, if you want to be the best in the industry, whatever your industry is, you need people that are going to not only hold you accountable, yet push you, that have been there, been there before you, and can cut that learning curve. So yes, I 100% agree in coaching and accountability and mentors that can help guide you and direct you. And I mean, some people's limited mindset could be like, well, that costs money, or, whatever their limiting belief may be. And yet the truth is it's actually going to save you time, going to save you money, and going to move you forward. So 100%, we have multiple coaches in different areas of our life. We have someone that helps with wealth building. We have a production coach for our team. And then let's see what else. We have mentors in the different various areas of our life and faith. And,
I was gonna say, I
used to go to boot camp with you for exercise.
Yeah,
and you called me out on that.
Yeah. So we had what I would call it. You have a fitness coach. I think of like even
training partners,
even
somebody
my
that's going to push
financial
you.
planner. I think as a finance coach. You've got business coaches. I think when you slow down for a minute and you think about the people who have influence in your life, you realize that you have a lot of these things in place already.
Sport.
You're just not necessarily calling them that. Like you mentioned, a faith. Like we happen to go to the same church. Involved in different things, but there's people there who are influencing us and helping us and support us in that as well. Jared, how long have you been in like specifically business coaching, real estate coaching?
Yeah, almost since, at the beginning we did BOLD. We did several BOLDs back to back. And then we took a step up, and it literally took our trajectory and our business and helped. It went. So our second year we doubled. Our third year, by our third year, we're selling over 100 homes a year.
Wow.
And so
awesome.
Third year in business, together, new career. I can't be a bigger advocate for coaching in whatever industry that is.
And I think part two, John, you've been in real estate, so you've got some background to this, but as a real estate agent, in most cases, you're an independent contractor. You're an independent agent, right? Like the brokerage that you work for, although I'm sure that they love you, they're outside of what they're doing as a group in terms of systems and models and education. They're not doing anything specific with you. And they can't, right? They can't, because there could be 400, 500 agents that make up that brokerage, and there's probably 4 people in leadership. So if you're not an independent agent that is like self-motivated, you're never going to get out of your bed. You're never going to get up off your couch or whatever that may be.
Yeah.
And you need somebody who's going to talk to you weekly and say, hey, so what did you do this week?
Yep.
That's
a great point. I think, Jared, you probably saw a lot of that when COVID hit a year ago. We talk about it in our industry, but that was a make or break for many people that were in sales. What direction am I going to go? And, how's my business going to look? Am I going to sit back and wait for this to go away, or am I going to be aggressive and get out there after it? And I think, and probably we'll find out here with statistics, that the top 20% probably really grabbed even more of the market, and the bottom 80 lost a lot of the
Yes.
market, because of what happened this past year.
I'll tell you personally, I'm seeing that from a lot of the real estate folks that I know, like Jared, who are saying that, out of an office of 100 agents, in any given month, let's say 50 of them used to close a transaction. Today it's 20, but
Right.
the office is doing more volume than they've ever done before. So those deals are just going to the bigger teams like Jared and Amber.
The hustlers. Yeah.
And back to the coaching, and I'm extremely, like I said, I'm a big advocate on that. And personal growth, there's a bold law that really sticks with me. Your business grows to the extent that you do. And so constantly, I'm very big on personal growth, meaning that you're in trainings or you're reading books, you're listening to podcasts. And there's a phenomenal book that I read recently, and it's called The Almanac of Naval Ravikant. And some of the ahas I got from that, I jotted down. If you don't mind, I want to
share. Bring them. Yeah.
Awesome. So the first one: no one can compete with you on being you. Mm-hmm. Most of life is a search for who and what needs you the most. So no one can compete with being you. And that's it with the lead generation and COVID, doing the care calls, just being you.
Yes. Yeah.
No one can compete with Bryan Lovell being Bryan Lovell. And so that really spoke to me. And then another one is earn with your mind, not your time. A lot of people think I put a lot of time. It's not always that. Let's work smarter, not harder. Yeah. And then the last one that I jotted down was value your time at an hourly rate and ruthlessly spend to save time at that rate. You will never be worth more than you think you're worth.
Yeah. Dude, those are pretty incredible. I've been preparing to teach a book by John Maxwell called The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. And so I've been going through that. We're about to do that with some of our top producing managers here, and I'm also doing it with some of our real estate partners out there. And one of the things I took away in some reading that I just did this week was, John talks about personal growth and that you have to invest time and money into it. But, not everybody, a lot of people get intimidated like Jared, we're not going to say the number, but what you probably pay in coaching a month would most people cause them to right away
Anxiety.
Say, I'm not doing that.
Right.
Right.
Wow.
But here's the reality is, and you just said it, if you're just starting out and you value personal growth because that's what's going to take your business to the next level, to your point, your business only grows to the extent that you do. Just listening to a podcast like this or picking up a book that you can pick up for $10 or $11, it doesn't have to be hundreds or thousands of dollars in investment right away.
Right, start small.
You can start somewhere and get into some personal growth.
100%. I love that you just said that. So yes, it doesn't take that. And when it comes time and you're like, hey, I'm ready to take that step. I'm ready to hire a coach or a mentor or a consultant. Change that mindset from an expense to an investment.
Yes.
Once you do that, because you're going to hold that investment accountable. If you're not seeing results, you're not going to stay investing in something that's not producing results.
And I love that you said that because it just made me think about every dollar I've ever invested into myself for personal growth. I've never wished I got any of it back. I've never wanted a refund on that or felt that wasn't money well spent. At the time, it might have stung a little bit, but hindsight being 2020, I don't. It was good. It was a good investment. So Jared, where's your business coming from these days? I know you've mentioned Sphere quite a bit, but to be able to close as many sides and transactions as you're doing, do you mind sharing with us a little bit like how you guys are farming out your business?
Absolutely. So the majority is our Sphere. We have built our sphere, I know our numbers. 80% is sphere and past clients. 80%.
Wow.
I love that.
It's the highest it's ever been. And we have, and then the other is agent referrals. So again, just those relationships.
Yep.
It's so Amber and I grew up in the Tampa Bay area. We've lived in multiple different areas, and we're both people, people persons, or however you want to say that.
Yeah.
So, we do have a sphere, and yet we're constantly growing. Even if you don't, you're new to a town.
Yeah.
I see people all the time. You're constantly feeding everyone you meet. Early on, someone told me, a wise person said, everyone you meet's either a now buyer, a now seller, a future buyer, future seller, or they're interested in a career in real estate or lending, or the mortgage industry. So,
Yep.
every single person you meet.
Yeah. Listen, I got to say, there was an aha that Jared just gave us. I want to make sure everybody caught. And it was at the very beginning, and Jared said, not I think, I know my numbers. And that's the aha, is when you're running a business to any extent. You could be 24 sides a year like Jared and Amber were in their first year, or where their business is at right now. If you don't know your business, you're not acting like a professional, right? And I would imagine right now, if I sat in front of Jared and I started asking him specific questions about his business, he could spit the data out to me as fast as I'm asking the questions.
And Bryan, I want the listeners to hear this. That does not come naturally.
No.
So for you, it might. Yet for me, it didn't.
Yeah.
And so I avoided it. I avoided it for a long time until I realized that I'm not running a business. I don't know what's coming in, what's going out.
Yeah.
I don't know where my business is coming from. I don't know who to market to prospect to. And so, yes, once we did that, it changed everything. Once you know your numbers, you can identify where are the gaps.
Yes.
Yeah.
I say it all the time. For
where the
everything
focus
that we
needs
measure,
to go, right? Yeah.
For everything that we measure, there are behaviors and disciplines that drive those metrics. It does not matter what the metric is. That's the bottom line, right?
Let's dive into some fun stuff and talk a little bit about what the market looks like today.
Yeah.
With multiple offers, the inventory. Yes. That's the big question here in quarter one here, 2021.
Yeah.
In the Tampa market.
Yeah, so definitely challenging. But here's the thing: challenging, yet opportunities are always there. No matter what market we're in, there's opportunity. So yes, offers are definitely challenging because you're up against multiple offers, and yet we're doing everything we can to have those conversations up front and seeing what is the seller looking for? What is it? Terms? Is it specific terms? Is it only pricing? Are they looking at convenience? So when we can find out their motivation, it really helps us on our end. There's different strategies, and it is definitely tight, and we're doing certain things to help find more inventory. And some of those strategies are through text messages, through they call it the golden letter, and actually sending out a letter to say a home goes under contract, one of your listings, and you had multiple offers, you actually farm that area. And so there's different strategies, and yet we're having on our listings, we're having many offers.
Yeah.
Is there anything specific you guys wanted to hit on that?
Yeah, where are the buyers coming from? It's a frenzy, but if you look at NAR statistics year over year, right, sales are up slightly from last year. 10-12% in units and volume? So
yeah, and it's phenomenal. What I say to buyers and sellers, I say it's almost like a perfect storm. It's something that we haven't seen before. Like I connect with people that have been in the market, the business 20, 30 years. And they're like, Jared, we've never seen this.
Yeah.
And So what I mean by perfect storm, obviously inventory is low, so it's great seller's market. You can capitalize on the equity in your home, and yet still on a purchase, it's still, I mean, historical low rates.
Rates are low, yeah.
And home affordability is up. So, I mean, there's huge opportunity, and it's our job. It's our, as a professional in the industry, is to let our people know. Let our people know that if they want to invest in real estate, if they want to buy a second home or a first home, I mean, we need to let them know, hey, it's still a great time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point. So do you see a lot of out-of-state buyers or mostly local?
Yeah.
Or Florida is always been a great state to live in.
Yeah.
I've been here 25 years now, but now more than ever, I think Florida's drawing the attention of a lot of people.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have personally seen quite a few many out-of-state clients. I've seen many from California, from Chicago, just all over. People are coming to Florida. I mean, it's a desirable state. I'm from Michigan, and
the work remote thing has shifted everybody too. I mean, companies that are now allowing employees to go and work remote.
Why not come
where am I going to live? Am I going to be in Boston, Michigan, or Florida somewhere?
John, great point, John. People are working remotely, so they're like, well, where would I want to work? If I was at home or remote, and so that, and people are also getting homes where they can work, can have a home office.
Sure.
And so maybe that's an additional bedroom. Whatever that looks like, there's lots of opportunity. There's a lot of out of town clients desiring Florida.
Hey, Jared, John brought up, the inventory situation and, how many offers we're seeing, come across on listings today. My feeling is that there's probably starting to become some buyer fatigue out there. Like, man, I'm tired of looking at all these homes. I'm tired of what would be your advice to a buyer in this market?
Bring your A game. And also, it's all about setting expectations and setting expectations and what's their motivation. I mean, it's tough because we don't have a crystal ball.
Yeah.
And we don't know if it's going to continue to go up, because we could say, you know what, here's the pricing. I know you think it's only worth this, yet to get the house, you're going to have to pay this. Do you guys have the funds to make up that difference? Because, likelihood is in 2 months, the value will be there anyway. Yet, that's challenging.
Yeah.
That's a great question.
Yeah. And there are tools out there, by the way, to help show a buyer how quickly they're going to get a return on their investment if they're bidding over ask. Something, again, you can plug into through with us. Yep. But also, I think, we were on a mastermind, or I was on a mastermind this past week with some loan officers, and we were talking about what are some of the creative ways to do some financing when a couple of things happen. One, we have to bid over ask. What happens if the appraisal comes in short? So part of that is I think from the lending side too, we're not in this place anymore where you can just be like, hey, here's your 30-year fixed, go get the house you want. Today, if you're an LO in this market, you're working.
It's tough.
You're working because you have to be creative. And that's why kind of what I said about, I believe that partners working with us are closing more homes than those that aren't, because we're taking the time to educate our LOs on how to do that.
Yeah, no, agreed. You have a strong LO and mortgage company that can advocate for you. Calling those listing agents, really selling it like, hey, and the programs that you guys have, that show that, hey, these people are qualified. They're basically a cash buyer and we can close in so many weeks. That definitely, as a listing agent, that 100% helps and gives you it gives the listing agent the confidence who, will pass that along to obviously his clients.
Yeah. Yep. Cool. Well, listen, we're running out of time, and Jared, I know you got to get going to your next appointment here probably. Is there anything that you wish John and I would have talked to you about or asked you in the time that we've spent together?
No, I mean, I think we hit on a lot of different things. I would encourage anyone listening, call your people, talk to your people, let them know you're in the business, stay top of mind, and people want to help you. And especially now, if you're not staying top of mind, they're having they're thinking either buying, selling, investing in real estate, and yet you want to be that person that they do the mortgage through. So just really, I mean, I know it sounds so basic, and yet I heard Gary Keller the other day, the founder of Keller Williams, and he said that if you're not crushing it right now, you really should look in the mirror. And yet, as a real estate agent, and yet he said, people in this type of market, people get sloppy and lax, and they stop talking to their people. They stop working their database. And so when the market does shift, it's not going to be pretty. So talk to your people, guys. Stay top of mind and go
Great
crush
point.
it.
So listen, Jared, we appreciate you coming on to the show. I'm sorry, did you have something you wanted to add?
No, you're good.
Okay. We appreciate you coming on to the show. I mean, we hit a lot of stuff and a lot of things I wish we could have even gone maybe a little deeper on. So if you got questions, I know Jared, so I know that he would be willing to help anybody out there who might be looking for him to go a little bit deeper on some of the things that he's talked about. And always, John and I.
You might be curious what your home's worth today, too.
So
give him a call and find out. I mean, we saw like appreciation up about 16%. So doing quick numbers, $500,000, that's $80,000 you made just on your property this past year during COVID. So, I mean, it is definitely a time, and I'm trying to encourage people. If you're in a home and you touched on needing an extra bedroom or maybe the swimming pool, a little bit more room for you and your family, you probably have a lot more equity, and you have a lot of people that are looking for your home. So it might be a great move up opportunity.
Yep, absolutely.
Absolutely. If you're even considering selling, I would definitely. You can call us. You can email me, Jared at trgkw.com, and your home's guaranteed worth more than you think.
Yep, that's the point, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Might be pleasantly surprised at that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, Jared, thanks for joining us. You and your wife are a bunch of rock stars. I value you guys. Appreciate you, and thanks for spending some time with us. If you have liked what you have seen and heard today on the Context to Contracts podcast, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if there's anything that any of us can do, please know all of us, we're always here to serve.